Hello, this is Leah Gonzalez reporting live on Musical News. Today, we have Jonathan Edwards and Anne Bradstreet live in studio. Right now, we're going to take a look at Jonathan Edwards' personal life. Hello, Jonathan. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here.
That's awesome. So I'm going to start off asking you a few questions. What was it like being the only boy in a family of 11 children?
It was chaotic. It was just me and my dad being the only males of the household. So definitely, it made me and my dad really close, and we had a really close bond. And I was happy to have that in my life.
That's really good. That's really good. So I know that you went to college at a very young age. You attended Yale University at the age of 13. What was that like?
It was a really great learning experience. I love learning. It's my favorite thing in the world, and I always say, study 13 hours a day. That's my rule of thumb, and I really committed to that, and I succeeded. I became the valedictorian, and it was an overall amazing experience for me, and age was never really a factor when I was there. It just happened for me.
Wow, that's very interesting. So, valedictorian at the age of 17. Impressive. Okay, so I know your dad was a pastor. How did that influence your decision in also becoming a pastor?
Well, I always looked up to my father. Like I said, my father and I always had a close relationship. So I wanted to be just like him. He was my role model since childhood, and as well as my grandfather. They were both pastors. They were amazing at it, and I'm a strong puritanical believer, and I believe in God, and I always wanted to preach the word of the Lord, and it was my calling. It really was. It's my passion.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So how did the dismissal from being a pastor influence your family relationship?
Well, of course, being dismissed it took a toll on the family ties for sure. We weren't as strong as we were before, of course, but it was a good experience because it taught me to venture out and grow up on my own, and I got to just do my own thing and do what I really was passionate about.
Wow, that's great. I'm sure that must have been hard. So I have one more last question to ask you. I know that later you moved to Stockbridge, Massachusetts. What motivated your writing exactly?
Well, I had a lot of time on my hands for one. I was the leader of the small congregation, and I was a missionary for the Houstonic Indians, so I had more time on my hands than just being a pastor, and I love writing sermons. That's my passion. I love preaching the word of the Lord. I love doing what the Bible tells you to do and just being pure and holy, and that's my passion in life, and it always has been, and that whole atmosphere really influenced me to write and affected my writing in a really passionate, strong way. And that's where I wrote The Freedom of the Will, which is one of my most well-known books, and it was just an awesome overall experience for me. Helped me with my writing a lot.
Wow, that's great. Well, that's all the time we have for right now. Thank you, Jonathan.